Hello and welcome to a very much late night reaction video cast after Rangers' incredible 1-0 win over PSV. And do you know what it means, Josh?
Champions League football means I'm going to Real Madrid, hopefully.
Josh, what's that? What's that noise that I'm hearing? What is that noise?
I know. It's not loud enough. You need to make it louder. There we go. Brilliant. You've had that planned all week, haven't you?
I've had that planned for a while.
Listen, Johnny, do you know there's been so many nights with Rangers in Europe in the last year where you go, wow, after being at it. You know, regardless of whether you're at the game, whether you're covering it, whatever capacity you're involved within, it's just something about it. And tonight was another one of those. It was different because it was a disciplined away performance that didn't give PSV an inch. But listen, Rangers have just come to a team that have spent a lot of money, finished second in the Eredivisie last year, and I've outplayed them all over the pitch. For me, they were the better team. They got the better of small margins, and they're back in Champions League football. So it feels like a big milestone to get back to that after the last decade, and they absolutely deserved it. So I'm just glad that they got the rewards for the performance, Johnny.
Yeah, it was a terrific performance, Josh. As you say, very mature. I thought second half, if anything, after that maybe 5, 6, 7 minute period towards the end of the first half, Rangers were a lot better, I thought, in the second. Just very much mature and in control of that game. And once the goal went in, Josh, I had no concerns about the game. You know, yes, it was tense from a point of view of, as you're watching any game, a ball in the box can hurt you no matter what team you are. If you're Manchester City or if you were Barcelona and it's heyday under Pep Guardiola, a ball in the box can change a game. So yes, that was a worry. But apart from that, I thought they just marshalled the defence really, really well. James Sands, Josh, it's getting to the stage now with James Sands that it's like a Calvin Bassey style.
It is, Johnny. You're completely right. I mean, tonight he made one bad pass, I think, which is going to happen when you're building up through pressure. And obviously, there's so much to talk about how Rangers played, individual performances, the scenes before the game. But how many? I'm looking forward to seeing James Sands' defensive action map because he was everywhere. And is this another example of Van Bronckhorst seeing something he likes in a player, a specific trait? For Sands, I think in particular is his positioning, and obviously his ability on the ball with both feet to just play those short, incisive passes. He was absolutely brilliant, and I think for me, James Sands at points in the last few weeks has got unfair criticism. I think there's been too much kind of a focus on him, so I'm delighted to see him tonight go and get a real coming of age performance, and that's his shirt at the moment until further notice, until Ben Davies or someone else comes and wins it off him, because he lost one aerial duel that was almost costly to Rangers as PSV broke through. But aside from that, up against an experienced striker, another really intelligent defensive performance. I thought Tillman made the difference with that moment of pressure. It's a game of such slight margins, and Tillman, I thought, would be quality on the ball, almost Tom Lawrence, obviously, with that shot that hit the bar. But it was Tillman that made the difference. But you're right, there wasn't that same holding on feeling that often is the case when a team goes 1-0 ahead. Rangers defended the box well. I thought Connor Goldson as well, you have to give a lot of credit to him for the way that he dominated aerially. John Lundstrom took a clever yellow card. Rangers broke the game up. Scott Wright came on and won a clever free kick high up the pitch. They held the ball well. It was just a brilliant, mature European performance. And, you know, for the piece that I'm writing for tomorrow, Johnny, the angle that I'm going with, which I think is the topic of conversation, is at what point does a surprise result, Rangers going away and winning in PSV to the majority of Europe, given the financials involved, is a surprise? When does it just become the norm? And maybe it is just the fact that now Rangers have finally completed this journey. They've reached where they needed to reach, the Champions League. It's a huge achievement, and a lot of people deserve a lot of credit for it.
Josh, you said there the words, they've completed a journey, and it's not just the journey to the Champions League in terms of the qualifiers. I said this in my piece tonight, as Alan McInnes quite rightly says, our recovery is complete, and that is absolutely true for Rangers, because while 55 was fantastic and an incredible milestone. If everyone's being honest, they know that until that Champions League music, that's Zadok the Priest plays around Ibrox, it won't truly be complete.
Yeah.
But now we know that that's happening. So I think this puts the final cap on what has been a decade of tumult, a decade of stress. And I think you can definitely see that period, that journey is over, and now a new journey begins. And what a way to do that by winning against a team. I have to be honest, Josh, I think PSV are every bit as good as every one of the teams that Rangers played in the Europa League run. Honestly, I rate them that highly. You look at the quality they have in depth. I thought Veerman was outstanding tonight. I thought Javi Simons, when he came on, looked like a different gravy. You look at Sabari, I thought was a powerhouse in the midfield. I mean, their midfield is absolutely top class. You're talking about a guy in Gapco who's going for 40, 50 million pounds. De Jong up front is top class. Sabari, I mean, he's a player, no doubt about it. Maybe not quite as strong at the back, Josh, as they are in midfield, but midfield to front, this is a good team. People will say maybe Leipzig, maybe Dortmund were actually better. I don't think there's much in it. Really don't.
No, absolutely.
I thought they were very, very dangerous. And we've talked about James Sands, but the other name that I want to pick out for an especially high bit of praise is John McLaughlin. Because we talked a lot last season, Josh, and in a lot of detail about having a keeper that was able to come and take the pressure off when balls go in the box. And John McLaughlin made a number of punches. Every time he made the right connection and put the ball significantly further away from goal than it needed to go. It was a catalogue of excellent goalkeeping. And then he's also made a couple of really top saves. I think he deserves a lot of credit because I think there was a lot of people who weren't quite sure that he had the shot stopping nous to replace McGregor. But
big stop that though, wasn't it? It was a big stop.
Massive. Yeah. And he deserves a massive amount of credit for how he performed on the night, because I thought it was a performance that really engendered a sense of calm in the defence in front of him.
Yeah, and there was also a first half corner. PSV had a free header with Sangare maybe midway through, late in the first half probably. There was a bit of a oof moment. But there was also a moment where it looked like the ball was going straight onto the head of De Jong, and McLaughlin was really quick off his line to punctuate. Definitely think he deserves a lot of credit. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst as well. Now, how much money has he earned Rangers with those 2 European runs? You know, it's incredible. And I think, just a few days ago, we're talking about the domestic questions that still remain, which is fair. You know, that can still exist tonight, because they do. You know, Hibs at the weekend wasn't a brilliant game, but Europe in isolation for Rangers under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has just been incredible. It really has. Constant defying of expectation to the point where it's not even really a surprise anymore. I think it's worth speaking about what he did, and I was asking about that in the press conference just about half an hour ago. Rangers, for me, we were speaking this morning, Johnny, about what are they going to do? Are they going to include more pace in their team? I thought Glenn Kamara was, for the first half in particular, excellent. Some of those touches, nice to have him back. But what they did really well for me was they created that 4v3 in the middle of the pitch again. Van Nistelrooy was speaking about how the pressure just wasn't quite right from PSV, and also how they perhaps maybe didn't make the correct decisions when to not build up, when to just go long for the goal. But I think Van Bronckhorst got his game plan spot on, because Rangers didn't have the pace to get him up the pitch by going over the top of PSV tonight. They had to be brave, invite the press and play through. And when they played through, the movement of Lawrence was really intelligent. The movement of Tillman was really intelligent. He was always pulling Sangare out to the right side of the pitch, really. On the left side, PSV's right side, which created space in the middle and allowed Rangers to create those overloads. So I think they had the better of it, and there was fine margins. PSV also had those moments from set pieces, but overall, I think Rangers very much earned their win. And nice to see, I think both Sands and Tillman do well. 2 trains that I've been driving. I would like to say I don't think we all get too many players right, but it's always fun when you see a player that you think, do you know what, with Sands or with Tillman, you think, yeah, they can bring a lot to this team. So it's great to see them performing so well. I know Sands has been here for 6 months, but it's the first extended chance he's had in the first team. But yeah, really looking forward to watching the game back and kind of picking apart what Van Bronckhorst did and why it worked well. But for me, the key thing is that PSV tried to apply that pressure and tried to play it from the back, and they, as in the manager's own words, they didn't always choose the right moments from when to play it from the back. They didn't always get their distances as right when they were pressing Rangers, and Rangers were ruthless, and that goal was a small margin in a tight game, but they got the better of it. And you know, there's a player that's been training under Nagelsmann in pre-season pressing like that, Johnny, with the way that Tillman wins the ball back for that one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bad touch, wasn't it, by the defender, and that's
yeah.
But you still have to be on that like a frog in a cold pond. That's my terrible analogy. It's late. Jumping about like a frog.
It's later here, but no, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, just big performances all over the pitch, and for me that goal epitomised that Rangers has got the small details right. When they played, there was one moment in the first half, I think, when Sands was caught in the ball, and Rangers, I think it was Saibari then had the shot across. It was maybe deflected by Sands in the end after. But from that maybe 10-minute mark to 30-minute mark, it was a goal away from being an excellent European performance from Rangers. I just thought they lacked, Lundstrom with the cutback, quite similar to Dortmund in a way, but just doesn't get the direction. He definitely got a connection on it. It fizzed wide. Lawrence, obviously, in the second half with some fantastic individual skill. I thought he was really good kind of throughout the evening. And for me, I think it's worth speaking about Kamara, Johnny, because speaking before the game, on the video, I was saying that, maybe, I know he's not had the best chemistry with Lundstrom, but it's different playing alongside him as opposed to playing ahead of him as he does domestically. When he takes touches like that and he spins away from players, people can't keep up with him. They can't kind of follow him, and you need to, if he's going to stay at Rangers all season, he needs to model those performances domestically to really solidify his place in the team. Because when he plays like that tonight, there's no question that he should be in the first 11. I think it's just the consistency of doing it and doing it with that tempo throughout. So yeah, big performances all around, and I agree with you totally on McLaughlin. I thought that was a bit of a coming of age performance for him as well. Assured a really strong right arm to prevent the goal and keep Rangers ahead, and also a couple of those crosses he came and gathered. I thought there was a more concerted effort for him to come out at corners, and on a couple of occasions that really helped this team.
Yeah. One thing, I've got a message here from Joe Anderson. Obviously, the Champions League draws tomorrow. We're getting Frankfurt, aren't we? That would be superb. I think, Josh, we made a few friends in terms of people around the club, and it would be great to sort of have a rematch with them. I think not only that, but that's a team that in terms of top seeds, Rangers can compete with.
Yeah. I guess that's what the attention turns tomorrow to is Van Bronckhorst was just saying we want to be competitive. You've got to presume two things, Johnny, or one thing, sorry. Rangers surely are going to go and spend a bit more money now in the transfer window. Yeah. You've surely got to, when you get that much money coming in, when you have the opportunity to go through in the Champions League, because Rangers will harbour ambitions, of course, of doing that, because again they've punched upwards really well. They've beaten bigger teams, but a lot of obviously appealing teams to get in that draw, a lot of appealing trips. So very much looking forward to that. And as I say, after tonight, Rangers will of course enjoy that, and deservedly so. You look at players like Tavernier and Goldson, Tavernier in particular, who's been through such a journey to get to this point. And the atmosphere, I mean, maybe worth touching on the atmosphere outside the grounds. Before, Rangers bus was held up for about 15 minutes. Van Bronckhorst was, I mean, you watched it on the TV, I just read the quotes, but he seemed more animated about that than he's been about a lot of things. It did seem to kind of frustrate him the way that it was held up.
He wasn't impressed. And maybe because he's Dutch himself and just felt like it wasn't the correct sort of way to extend the hand of friendship. I just don't think he was too happy with that from the point of view of the professionalism of it. And he made that absolutely clear. But do you know what? got to be honest with you, Josh, I don't think that was necessarily a bad thing. It could be one of those ones where Rangers, as players, got together and said, right, we're going to do this lot for this.
Yeah. Well, I was right by the I was there kind of filming it as is seen on our Twitter feed, and you can kind of, it's obviously tinted glass, but you can kind of see through it. And kind of seen the players, I think it was Sands and Goldson, just kind of like steely faces. Goldson got off the bus and kind of had a look of disdain on his on his face, which was quite funny. But yeah, Rangers have, again, they've been to difficult venues before, hostile venues. It doesn't seem to put them off. They seem to be at their best as a team when they're under pressure, and then they can play through and play into space. Malik Tillman in particular, I thought was really good at receiving the ball in those pockets. And yeah, but it was interesting to see Van Bronckhorst get so vexed about that. Van Nistelrooy was asked about it in the press conference, but said he hadn't kind of been aware from it. I think, is it right in saying that Rangers wanted to extend the kickoff, but that was rejected?
That's correct, mate. That's what he said to Premier Sports ahead of the game.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I guess that shows that it wasn't ideal preparation for Rangers, but they were. I think they weathered the storm for the first 5-10 minutes. Didn't have too much of the ball, but as soon as they got hold of it, I just think they were better overall over the 90 minutes. Gakpo misses a couple of big chances. It'll obviously be interesting to see what the kind of numbers are in the game tomorrow. But overall, I don't think many people could suggest that the result was an unfair reflection of the game. It was tight last week. PSV haven't scored against Rangers in open play in 180 minutes. That's quite a good reflection, I guess, of Rangers' defensive efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of Alfredo Morelos, Josh, what was the sort of general tenor of Gio post-match? Because he made a point in the Premier Sports TV coverage of saying, this is for him too. And I believe he said something similar in the post-match presser, which does seem like something of an olive branch, really, doesn't it? I'm strongly led to believe that Alfredo Morelos still does have a future at Rangers if he screws the nut and puts himself together and gets back to the levels that he needs to get back, and that would suggest that that's definitely the case.
That's what Van Bronckhorst effectively said. He wasn't asked about it. He went out of his way to speak about it, which I guess is probably quite revealing and important point. Yeah. Something to point out. He said it's for Morelos too. And if my memory serves me correctly, a lot has happened in the last couple hours. He went on to kind of reference the fact that it's in his hands now, but it was much more of an olive branch than yesterday. This has probably worked out as best it could for Rangers and the club, I guess, with a situation like this where they've got through their number 9 tonight. Antonio Čolak has scored. I'm sure Alfredo Morelos will want to play Champions League football. So kind of, I guess, a follow-up of what Van Bronckhorst said yesterday, which is that it is in Morelos' hands to come back and prove, and he said, I'll help, something along the lines of I'll help him to get fit, etc., etc.
And Alfredo has been himself quite vocal on social media tonight, interestingly, posted on his Instagram in English, "This is my team, !! We are back. Congratulations, boys." So I think there's a bit of escalation there, isn't there?
Yeah, these things are it's fine margins, because if Rangers don't go through tonight, perhaps the decision is criticised, even though Morelos wasn't in a fit state to play. Perhaps 10
minutes.
10 minutes, no worries. Just getting the bell from the
bar. You've had enough beer.
But you know what I mean, it could have gone much differently, but I guess it's in tonight in isolation, it's a decision that ultimately is proved to be the right one because of the result. Čolak scored a pretty easy tap in the end, but I thought overall he made one pass out the pitch within the first 15 minutes, and you thought, oof. And I tweeted out that's the type of pass that Morelos gobbles up on these nights, and that's true. After that, I don't think he did anything wrong. Held the ball up well, worked tirelessly off it, took his goal in the right place at the right time. What's that, 5 Rangers goals in the last 6 or something like that?
Yeah.
Just a poacher, exactly what Rangers have needed. But I thought, he helped his team outside of that as well. There were still some moments where Rangers were under pressure, and you want to see Morelos providing that channel ball to just get you up the pitch on his own. But yeah, overall, I think Čolak did very well, and Morelos, when he comes back, has still got a fight on to kind of reclaim that shirt.
It's such a happy night, Josh, that we're even getting messages from non-Rangers fans in the comments here. We've got Wolf Einstein, pretty cool name for anyone of my age who remembers playing that brilliant game back in the day. He's a Hearts fan, saying looking forward to his game tomorrow night. Hope Hearts do well there. Obviously got that game against Zurich, and if they can get through, that would be terrific as well. Big John, our goalie you stole, was superb for you tonight. He was indeed, and there was actually a Hibs fan earlier on who was
we're uniting Edinburgh tonight.
Yeah, putting in similar sentiments. So the salt and sauce duo across the M8 in Edinburgh are indeed quite happy for us. If these two are anything to go by, I probably wouldn't extend that to that many more of them. But it's good to see there's a bit of solidarity. And the good thing, Josh, is of course, take away the tribalism. It is a fantastic result for Scottish football.
Of course it is.
It does mean that there's a triggering of more funds into the game for everyone, and in terms of the coefficient, there's a real opportunity there to go out and rack up some serious points in the Champions League now. Yeah. That's going to be incredibly difficult if you're drawing Real Madrid, if you're drawing Liverpool, if you're drawing Man City. And I'll be honest with you, Josh, I don't want one of those teams. Real Madrid, okay, I'm not so negative about taking on them, which sounds probably a little bit mad because they won it last time, but I think a Man City or a Liverpool I'd rather.
I'd like a Milan. I'd like AC Milan. That's who.
Well, I was thinking I would quite like Napoli because if there's an away leg in Napoli, I'm almost certainly going to say to you boys, you've had your fun, but I want to go to the Diego Maradona Stadium. People who watch this maybe won't know, but I got married near Naples. I'm a big Italiophile. Love going to Italy on my holidays. So Naples is a place I've been many, many times, and I've always wanted to go to that stadium. So to see Rangers play in that stadium on a European night, Champions League night, would be something I wouldn't be keen on missing too quickly. Well, I'm not even saying that you wouldn't go, Josh. Maybe I would just come along as a wee holiday and
yeah, I think quite right. You can stick Derek in the control centre.
Exactly. He can sit here. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So yeah, Napoli would be really good. I'd be down with that, and Frankfurt I'd be really down with as well. But we'll see. I think from Rangers' point of view, just happy to get anyone really at this stage. Happy to be a part of the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll save that for tomorrow. Obviously, a lot to get through in tomorr's show as well. We can have a more.
Maybe much sleep tonight, Josh.
No,
as usual,
well,
European nights.
I'm an hour ahead, and as ever, I've got a lot of my piece to finish for tomorrow.
The thing is, you're a young man. What age are you, Josh?
23 now. 23.
You've been covering Rangers for a season and a little bit.
14 months. Yeah.
When was the last time you saw Rangers lose a tie?
In Europe?
Yeah.
Malmo.
Malmo. That's the only
yeah.
sort of negative two-legged result that you've seen.
I'm a good omen. That's what good friend of the show, David Edgar, was saying tonight in the press room. He was here. He was absolutely stressed out his box that second half.
Who was?
But David Edgar.
Yeah.
Stressed out his box. But he was also reaffirming that he is a good omen, while Derek and Adam Thornton are not, and Adam Thornton is convinced that he is a good omen, so he'll be
Derek certainly every time Derek goes away anywhere, it's a disaster. Finally, and I think this is a really good sentiment to end on before we come back tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning. Aldo McNaught saying, Josh, go get MWI, bro. Yes!
I believe that means mad with it.
Mad with it for the kids, yes, indeed. Shouldn't have to explain that to you, given your tender years, but there you go. Right, listen, we've got 930 odd people on, which is pretty good, but unfortunately you're going to get chucked out of the PSV stadium. I understand that it's a pretty good press box because they do give out free beer, guys.
Yeah, great hospitality over here.
We pretend that it's a hard life being journalists. It's not really.
I know.
Pretty good hospitality, but we'll let Josh get up the road. It is 1 o'clock. I'm sure he'll want to go and get a beer somewhere. Just steer clear of trouble, and if anyone offers you any substances, Josh, just say no, legal or otherwise in Holland. Okay, just say no. So until then, until next time, we will be back tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. bright and breezy, and I'm sure we'll be delighted to talk to you given what's happened tonight. Thanks for watching, guys.